I'm taking over, that's a promise, not a threat.
Uppercut season off top, you stop breathing.
Yeah, what's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk, where as always, if shit's real, we talk about it. Yo, I'm your host for tonight, Pat Scorpio, the England representative. As always, I got my man with me. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hey, yo, what's good? You already know who this is. Your boy King People, nigga box in the building. Ring Game Radio all day. Let's go.
Yes, sir, man. And anyone that needs to be banned from the bodega for after
yes, these fucking you know what? I'll give the Saturday. I'll give the Sunday ones some. I'll give them a break because they gave us a good fucking show. But from Friday and Saturday, all the matchmakers need to be indefinitely banned because that shit was some fucking bullshit, bro. Like, y'all gave us some of the worst fucking cards imaginable. First off, and then y'all fucking, the whole bullshit with New York, having it in Times Square, you fucking put a wall in, so you duped everybody. Oh, everybody thinks, oh, it's Times Square, free to the public, everybody can go. And then they get to Times Square and the police are basically like, get away. And yeah, so you all got duped because it was behind a wall and nobody could fucking see it. So,
and people flew in. Like I heard phone calls on podcasts and they flew out there for that shit. That's pretty fucking.
But I'll tell you what, I'm sure Trump is gonna get on the phone and fucking call Turkey Al Sheikh because Turkey's the only one that can get a fucking wall put up in this damn country. I'm sure Trump is jealous as fuck of that wall.
yeah, that shit is crazy. But yeah, no, we're definitely gonna talk about those cards in a hot minute. But yo, I got my other man with me. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's fly? It's Conscious Pilot, the West Coast Avenger, preparing for liftoff. 3-man trio. Let's go. Ring Game Radio, big three.
Yes, sir. Brother LB. He's sick tonight or whatever. And he's resting.
Get well, Shutterworth. Take some vitamins. Eat some veggies. Get some soup, nigga.
Get some broccoli. Of course, because broccoli cures all. You dig?
Yeah, just don't get it on pizza.
You niggas in this video. One day the curiosity will strike y'all and you'll see a broccoli onion pizza and your curiosity will strike and y'all eat a slice and y'all will be like, oh, okay, this was really fire and shit. Yeah, exactly, Marquis. Slam that tussin. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is, though. But yeah, but you'll definitely hear him because he definitely has it. He has his thoughts about what happened this past weekend. So you'll definitely hear it on a live with him. Probably later on this week once he feels better. But yeah, this weekend, this is probably the craziest Cinco de Mayo boxing weekend I've ever experienced. Like it was a complete dichotomy of cards.
Worst Cinco de Mayo week of boxing I've seen in a while.
I mean, there have been fights where it's just been like terrible, like because Floyd's had a couple of doozies on Cinco de Mayo and stuff like that, but nothing like what we experienced like this past weekend. Like it was, and I guess we'll start with the Friday card. And yes, Marcus, the wall kept the action up, and in order to dream, you have to sleep. Yeah, I see. This is the thing I don't understand. I mean, for number one, I had no problem with the logistics or anything like that. But I thought, like Pete mentioned before, I thought it was just gonna be like an open area where they have the ring, they have the areas where where whoever it is in the area can sit down. But they put a whole fucking wall up around there where they only put, unless you were above, right, like at a hotel, something like that, you wouldn't be able to see shit. But I guess what they did is like, hey, you can go to this nearby Dave and Buster's and do a watch party or some shit like that. I'm like, there are motherfuckers who probably if you ever drove in that area at any point, you know how much of a pain in the butt that fucking is. Or you took the train during fucking rush hour to that area. I know Pete knows because that's his area, whatever. That's a whole pain in the ass. People kind of sacrifice a lot just to get there, just to even see that shit. Because truthfully, everyone bought into like this, like, oh, this is just like it's a free card because we've witnessed boxing cards before. We've on ships. In malls and shit like that, in dog tracks, shit like that. We've experienced boxing like, but this was like, and so I had no problem with the logistics. Like, hey, I have it outside. But when you kind of do, people say, oh yeah, no, we can't watch. You can't watch it, and you can only have this certain little access in. This was only, you can tell that this didn't go over too well with anybody. So it's like
the problem was the issue that they ran into, and I should have known, like one of the things that like they had to do was, because I think they were told they had to make it to where like fans can freely leave, and like, because it's not like in an arena where you get in and then what I'm saying, you leave and then that's it. Mm-hmm. Like how if somebody has to use the bathroom, okay, how do you like control them leaving and coming back? Like, and the logistic of it like just is a little too weird. Like, that's why like it sounded good, but it wasn't gonna work unless you were in the wall.
Yeah, I mean, unless of course you put a whole row of bathrooms in the area right there, which would have just probably been disgusting to do that too. But yeah, Marquise, this was Mayweather Cotto bad. Truthfully, Mayweather Cotto bad. I mean, I still remember that pay-per-view. I didn't think it was that. It wasn't as bad as because Mayweather Cotto was at least a good fucking fight. Like, it was a hard fight for Floyd, and I remember Carlos Quintana actually scoring an upset knockout in the opener. So like if I can remember those two things, then that shit wasn't as bad as this shit. Like, I
mean, Cotto had Floyd. I mean, that was probably Floyd's best quote unquote pretty boy fight to me, entertainment wise. Well,
entertainment wise, yeah, like because Cotto made him work. So that's that. So that's what made for that. So I have to respectfully disagree, Marky. This is worse. So, like, either way, so the matchmakers, you have 3 fights and then plus the Japanese one. I'm not even going to count that fight because that Japanese can actually beat the piss out of his opponent. Like, he was the one that actually understood. So, like, but he was on the main card, but he wasn't, but he's kind of exempt from the little vitriol because the jobber was just tough. He was just putting, and that was just that. But you have 6 notable fighters on there. Some pound for pound, some rules in their division, some just, they're popular for whatever fucking reason. And, thinking like, okay, you gotta get a good show at least because all the fights were kind of set up like, we're all set up, some have a back history, some were setups are gonna be setups for a future fight. And even the fucking promos for the official promos, even like coincide, was pretty much that was the thing. You would think that we would at least one of these fucking fights would be entertaining. One. I've never seen A sides. Have you guys ever seen A sides where all the A sides on the card just shit the bed?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Like I'm trying to think of the last time all the A sides just completely yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm just trying to remember. Like, it took me. I was thinking because I still haven't thought of one because I know this has happened before, but it's been so long because it's nothing because it's not common. But
no, it's happened before, but it hasn't happened to like a card that had this kind of hype.
Yeah,
in a long time. Yeah,
because usually when the A levels falter, then the B levels will cause hell, and the B side will cause hell, and the B sides did not cause hell. Starting with Teofimo and Arnold Barboza. And I know with Barboza, we've all talked about Barboza and his lack of offensive output. And we all said that he had kind of put it out there. He had to go for it to take to actually beat Teo. What does he do? Low fucking output. And the surprising thing is when he actually did land, he lumped up Teo's face. But, Teo outworked him. But things though, Teo didn't really put his foot on the gas pedal to even try to get Barboza up out of there.
He did school him though. I mean, he did kind of win comfortably, very comfortable, I'd say.
But see, this is the thing. Like, if you're gonna do that, like, I don't want to win comfortably. You beat the guy. Like, if he's not throwing, if he's not pressuring you, beat the guy. Like, put hands on. And Teo, that's the thing I couldn't stand. It was just like. Teo was in first gear, and Barboza just simply refused to go into any type of gear.
Yeah, the issue was like, and I thought I gave Barboza 4 rounds.
Yeah,
I thought when he actually worked, he had success. Problem is, he wasn't working enough. The output was very low, and then when he was like it felt like he didn't know how to actually cut the ring off on Teo, and like half the time he was just following him around. There's a difference between actually cutting the ring off and just following someone around. And that's just what he did. Follow him around ineffectively. Like, cut the ring off, throw more punches, and he would have won the fight. Because he hurt Teo a couple times.
He did. And I was frustrated watching this. I was like, Barboza, like, this is your shot. Like, this was the fight you were campaigning for like 4 years on Top Rank. And Top Rank didn't want to give it to you. And now you kind of see why they didn't want to give it to you. You know, because it's just like you can't just have these performances where you're just not throwing enough to get out of there. And you see, and it was just like it was a mid performance. Like Teo's out here like talking this thing, but he was lumped up. You know, and it's like I can't like what kind of win is that? Seriously. Like I know people were praising that win, but that wasn't a good Teo win because it's just
that was it.
I mean, would y'all say like give him a B plus? I mean, he got
hell no,
like a B.
No,
B.
No, like a C minus.
Yeah,
damn, y'all got high standards. Okay.
No, I don't have high standards. Besides, like Teo, you could win a fight and still not look good, and Teo won the fight and did not look good.
Yeah, no. Well, a lot of people thought Barboza would win, so that's why he made him look kind of easy.
I bet I said Teo by decision, so that's not. I was horrified that this is supposed to be a pound for pound fighter. This is the lineal ruler in this division, and he still looks like food. That's the problem. Like he still looks like food. But it seems like people just can't find the right way to beat him, except Kambosos.
Yeah,
and which is the weirdest thing. Why Kambosos can show you the blueprint on how to beat him, but other fighters that are much more talented than Kambosos can't do the same. And I think that was just like an omen of what's to come. And then the second fight might be a candidate for the worst fight of this year so far. Like. Outside, unless Jake, depending what this Jake Paul fight is going to be like later.
No, hold on. You know, the funny thing is, I left this fight. After this fight, I left thinking this is easily candidate for the worst fight of the year. Until another fight came afterwards, but we'll leave it at that. Not necessarily on this card.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, and of course we're talking about Devin Haney returning after a year off because of that bruising fight that he had with Ryan Garcia. In which Ryan tested Pop Dirty for Osterin and all that. And, he fought Jose Ramirez. And we talked about Jose Ramirez as someone who's seen better days. P, though, was not, P was the one who was not convinced about any goddamn thing about what Ramirez is doing. Like Ramirez can do. Like, and truthfully, and I will say this, though. Ramirez, he gave it, he tried, bro. He tried.
See, the thing is, Ramirez was a guy that could do certain things at a high level that peak Ramirez would have given Haney hell. But this was not peak Ramirez. He was slower. He was not as sharp. He still had his effective moments, but it was just few and far between. But it wasn't because of anything that Haney did, because Haney was very reluctant. Like, this was his first fight back, and I don't know if it was just because of the long layoff, but he felt sluggish and at the same time tentative, which is a horrible combo.
He was back foot. I mean, that wasn't even back foot boxing. That was just pacing in a circle, circling around for like.
You know, saying like in front, basically he had happy feet. Like I never seen anyone that looked so unsure of himself. And Devin Haney. I like Devin Haney fights. Like Devin Haney is actually has actually shown to be. He could fight mid range. He could fight as an outfighter. He could fight in the paint. Like that Jordan Diaz fight is a perfect example of someone that knew how to operate in the paint. And I saw none of these variations of this. Like he was shifty left and right. He was nervous, and then Ramirez again not knowing how to cut off the ring on that type of movement, just like Barboza with Teo. He was just following him around, and you know, and Haney was just like pecking and poking and just moving left to right. Like it wasn't smooth moving. This was honestly, if I saw that, I was like, damn, this is a cry for help. Like that was like I was like, why are you moving so shifty? Like, hurt that man, like he's cooked. Stand your ground and throw punches. But he didn't do that either. He did not do a whole lot of that. Like, well, like Karmic said, it was like 70.
Yeah, there was no standing your ground because he spent most of the time going backwards.
Yeah, like the copy box for that shit was horrendous. Like it was like 70. Was it like 70 something punches or something like that?
Yeah. Neither of them landed more than 100 punches.
It was the first of 3 fights to enter top 5 for least punches thrown, something like that. The first fight of the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I was like, good lord. And honestly, like I said, if I wasn't at Dave and Buster's eating, I would have, and had food in front of me at the time, I would have went and played the games, bro. I would have took my Dave and Buster's cart and played the games. If I had actually stayed home and ordered this shit, I probably would have fallen asleep on the couch. That's how bad that fight was. Like, and you know something too. Like, I'm a Devin Haney fan. Like, I like watching him box. But there's a lot of apologists over here that's talking about that this fight was actual boxing.
It was a masterclass. That was Floyd reincarnated.
Get the entire fuck out of here with that bullshit. That like to call what Devin did, it would be a disservice to him and what his real talent is. It's just like, I mean, I get it. He had nerves and stuff like that, but that's why whoever the matchmaker was put him in with Jose Ramirez, because Jose Ramirez was out here getting rocked by fucking Francis Barthélemy in fights, and was tentative against Jack Catterall, who doesn't throw. So if you have this situation, why couldn't you just throw? Like, you had a situation where you could have looked good, throw punches, landed punches, and if you didn't get them out of there, but you worked at it, people would have just said, okay, good, you're back. But instead, it's just like now it's just like you're justifying people why people who don't like Devin Haney is now it's just justification because this fight was just it was trash. It was terrible. I had never been disappointed in Devin Haney before in my life. Just watching that performance, and even more with Bill Haney talking that Jose Ramirez had to go to the hospital. It wasn't because of any damage he took from fist. It was because he fucked up his ankles or foot, something like that, chasing this motherfucker around the ring. That's what it was. So it's just like, yeah, it was just an appalling fight. But like I said, like P said, there's another fight that was just as appalling. We'll get to that in a little bit, though. The main event one, I was like, okay, the main event can't fail. You got Ryan Garcia, you got Rolly Romero, you got 2 offensive fighters. One of them is going to land on each other at some point, and someone
both have clear flaws. Both have clear flaws and are vulnerable. Vulnerable. Yeah.
And the person with the clear flaw was fucking Ryan Garcia, and Rolly was. And usually I shit on Rolly all the time, but I can't. Like, he's the only one apparently that knew what the assignment was. He knew what he had.
I would say shouts out to Ismail Salas because he worked some wonders with Rolly in that fight. I don't know. Yeah.
I think this is more a detriment to Ryan than anything else. But I gave credit to Rolly when he
gave credit to Rolly. I mean, I think
that double. It was a horrible double left hook. But the fucking fact that he had Ryan in that awkward position where he couldn't dodge it was like, okay, knocked him down. Give him credit for that. I was like, oh shit.
We were all surprised, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, everyone in the restaurant that said, "Oh," like it was a collective "oh" when that happened, because I was like, I'm thinking to myself, and the funny thing too is, like, I mean, the history, like, we all know that Rolly got the best of Ryan in their sparring sessions, so now it just seems like now that Rolly just has Ryan's number in some sort of way, and then when Rolly knocked Ryan down, that took Ryan mentally out of the fight, and then you got the tentative shit.
He big broed him. It seemed like he just kind of paused, but he owns him, and he just kind of like owns his soul. He just kind of doesn't. Ryan seemed, I don't know. Maybe it's the lack of PEDs now. I mean, a lot of people. Yeah,
because he wasn't hitting like that, and every shot that Rolly was throwing his way bothered him. Like, you can say, like, his eyes were like, you can tell his eyes were shifty. Like, that was a man that was not sure of himself whatsoever. And all Rolly was doing, and funny things too is, like, you could tell that Rolly kind of implemented some of the shit that he looked, because Rolly was down with the Mayweathers too. You could tell, that roll that he was doing, like whoever fixed his shoulder roll did a pretty good job in doing it, because his position was like he was wrong off shots. He was throwing effective power shots. He was working. And
I was worried they was going to rob him. I was really going, and the scores were indicative of they were kind of trying to rob him a little with the 115-112.
Yeah, the 115-112 was there, but it was still the score. But the 119 was like 119-108 or 1. I mean, that was also the score too. I had no problem with that score either for him. Like Rolly put on a masterclass, and me just saying it like it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
You said that. Holy shit!
I mean, it's real talk, bro. This is what it is. This is a real talk podcast. I have to keep it real. I don't like Rolly, but dude put on an actual masterclass of boxing. Like none of us thought that Rolly had the boxing skills to outbox even Ryan, because Ryan Garcia has his flaws too. But Ryan Garcia has beaten and knocked out better fighters than Rolly. That's the thing. He's done that. Like, I mean, the Oscar Duarte win of his is actually aging well, because Duarte is like starting to wreak havoc on 140 now. So it's but just the fact that Ryan could not make one adjustment. Like, I don't know what was in Ryan's corner, but you tell me you could not make one adjustment to Rolly doing what he was doing? We have fighters that kind of ran through him, were able to set traps, were able to outbox him, but even though they didn't get the decision, and he could this is bad. Like Ryan cost himself some money tonight, like that night, like
a whole lot of it. Yeah, I mean, this was supposed to set up the Ryan versus Haney, and now nobody wants to see that shit.
Yeah, nobody wants to see it, because it's not like Haney shit the bed and Ryan Garcia lost.
That was the hottest rematch. That was the hottest fight. Should have been. It was the hottest fight until Friday. And and Haney, from what I understand, is actually trying to sue to actually get that rematch off. But who's gonna pay? Like, I mean, honestly, if Turkey says he doesn't want to pay, he won't want to pay that. I won't even fucking blame him. Like, I have no interest in it now. Not one bit. I wouldn't blame one bit.
Yeah, not one bit. Like I'm not gonna watch a shifty Haney and a Ryan Garcia who seemingly doesn't know how to land a shot and is tentative do that. And it was just horrible. Like, but I give the fact that Rolly is probably one step closer to being a legit welterweight champion is also crazy too, because because pretty much all they have to do, because let's see, who's the Boots is the WBA champion. So if Boots doesn't want to fight him eventually, then bam, that belt's gone.
Hey, if it's already on boxing, I check boxing for the belt rankings. It already has Rolando Romero right under Boots as the regular champ.
and like I said, but it's saying that if Boots decides he doesn't want to fight Rolly for the belt or whatever the WBA orders it, then Rolly becomes a legit welterweight champion, and that's just a whole bunch of fuckery right there too. Like, and that shit is crazy that Rolly got to that point. But that fight was terrible. Like, I mean, outside of Rolly working like that and the knockdown, I think the only highlight was Rolly knocking Ryan down. That was the only true highlight of 3 cards with 6 notable fighters. Something went horribly wrong with this, and
of course, the fighters didn't show up. They showed up and didn't show out. They looked like shit.
Yeah, and like I said, if I was Turkey, Turkey obviously footed their purses and everything like that, and you can tell that motherfucker was when they showed the camera on him, he was pissed because he was over there. You can tell that motherfucker was twisting the top of his water bottle and shit like that. It wasn't open and shit. So let's like, but anyway, it kind of serves him right because of the major look that he kind of pulled with the crowd being able to watch the fight. So he does deserve this, but we didn't deserve to watch unmotivated fighters. Well, 5 out of 6 fighters that were unmotivated.
And I know everybody peeped Ryan crying, and I don't care because he said to fuck all N-words and fuck all Muslims. So like I said, I mean, when even before he did all that, I called that shit. I was like, yo, he's a weight bully. Like I didn't want to hear nothing about like
yo, the dude did really win. And when Ospreay hit, I was like, yeah, fuck Ryan. And then of course he crashed out, and like motherfuckers just really trying to sweep that shit under the rug.
He lived like before he got popped, he was living off of it, like doing a victory tour, you know. Just like what Berlanga eventually ended up doing with Canelo and shit like that. So yeah, no, fuck Ryan Garcia. Like I'm glad he's crying, and because he embarrassed himself because. You know, you're not supposed to lose to Roy. Like, he had a lot of hype. He had a lot of, people would call him the junior face of boxing. A lot of publications are trying to push that narrative. He's the future face of boxing. I don't know, bro's cooked, and fuck him, I don't care.
Yeah, and then Oscar too. Oscar had to eat crow because remember when Rolly got knocked out by Cruz? You know, Oscar had that video out there, and then he just saw his fighter get outboxed by Rolly Romero. Like that's some vapor shit. Like you caught the fucking vapors, like. You know, like Rolly fucked up a lot of plans. So now, obviously, I'm pretty sure PBC is gonna put him in. It's kind of move him accordingly now that he has this interim belt with him. But yeah, like this event, it was a complete failure, like and everything like that. And this is what Turkey, and this is Turkey coming off the whole Ben and Eubank, which is probably his most successful event financially. To this, like this was everyone ripped this apart. Everyone like. I think it was. I didn't know anyone who liked it. Like on boxing Twitter, everyone ripped it apart. Even the ones that even fuck with Rolly. Like I fuck with Rolly. I thought this was a horrendous event. Like it was terrible.
But I'm happy for Rolly because Rolly comes across like a decent, a decent person. You know what I'm saying? So shouts out to Rolly. He got a much needed victory because if he lost this and got knocked out like we thought, it would have been over. Probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have been over. Like he would have just been like. Yeah, you get because what are you gonna do? You get knocked out of the whole part for this by Ryan Garcia.
Real quick, I saw him go live, and I don't know if I saw this, but he after the fight, and he was talking about how like they didn't even give him a hotel, his money wasn't in escrow. They tried to fuck with his gloves, like they really treated him like a true beast. True beast. He fucked up all the plans. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Marquise Antonio Tarver sounded like he never seen these fighters. So before we go on to the other event, what do you guys think of like Lampley and Tarver and Mike Kopp's commentary? What do we think?
Go ahead, B. Okay, well, I mean, it's music to my ears hearing Lampley. You know, Lampley is the voice of I think everybody's childhood in here, so it was beautiful to hear Lampley. I like Tarver. I listen to Tarver's take sometimes, on YouTube and shit, but he was just kind of hitting hard, and like Marquis said, he don't really be following with these guys like that. But Lampley is funny because
Lampley is washed. I'm gonna just say that right off.
Yeah, but he was shitting on them boys. It was kind of funny how he was shitting on them.
It sounded like I said, he's been out the game for a while, and it definitely sounded like it. He seemed like half the time he was kind of fanboying for the fighters that he liked. Like,
and Coppinger's ass. I don't need to ever hear Coppinger again on commentary.
Coppinger, like if you want to keep him like as a quote unquote expert, like he gives you a soundbite here or two. Yeah, but he's not commentary material. And Tarver was, like I said, Tarver's usually pretty. I guess Tarver's out of practice too, because I mean the last time we've heard him, he was on Pro Box, and he actually sounded good on Pro Box.
Shout out to Marquise. Antonio Tarver sounded like he never seen these fighters. He did. Rob D was good. Sloot was good. RGR was good. Rob D.
What's good, Rob D?
He sounded like he had never seen these fighters. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and with him, it's just like I said, because usually Tarver's last time Tarver was on commentary was on Pro Box, and he was actually good on this. Again, he might have just not have done his homework. But one thing I did notice too, like they had all the criticisms in the world for Devin, right? But there was no criticisms for Ryan Garcia. Like they wouldn't say nothing about Ryan's performance. Like. And that was the one thing I was like, why are people still caping for this guy? Like, say like Ryan is out there shitting the bed. He's not even like, he's not even doing anything. Like, shit on him. Like, say something about his performance. It was terrible.
Cause they were shitting on Devin bad. I ain't gonna lie, they were shitting on Devin tough.
Yeah, I mean Lampley, definitely you have to admit to fall asleep. Like, I mean that's a cold line to use. Like that's but nothing. But yeah, no sound bites for Ryan Garcia. Shifty, nervous ass. Like, come on, like, yeah. Everything about this event was just like horrendous. It was. Honestly, like if I don't think New York. I mean, now of course it's just like I don't think the Times Square thing will ever be done again. Turkey, yeah, because like
not like that. Anyways,
not like that. No.
That's two flops. That's two flops in America because Bud's my guy, but the Bud shit seemed like it kind of flopped.
But they catching bricks out in Saudi Arabia too, as we'll get to.
Yeah, and the thing though is now Turkey has one more American vet on the state. That's the Shakur stuff. And again, on paper, the lineup is actually excellent. But now I think there's going to be some pressure to make sure that shit actually delivers. At least they're in. I've heard. It's either going to be in Central Park, which is wild enough as itself, which is
that's even worse than Times Square.
Yeah, like degenerates hang out in Central Park. I've been in Central Park. Nothing but degenerates hang out in that motherfucking place. Like, you really gonna have a whole crowd in Central Park watching a fight?
Well, there's that card, and there's a September card which we'll talk about. But in terms of, I don't know. Yeah, he's 0 for 2. He's 0 for 2 in America. I guess you could say. Even though
that's your core card. Like, for his sake, he might just want to either find a real venue for it. Like, there's got to be a venue that's going to be available by July 12th. Like, you got to put it in. You got to put it in because putting it outside Central Park where where Times Square didn't work, so Central Park is not going to work. And I'd hate to see a card like that, which is good on paper, kind of like suffer for not get the proper attention it deserves because it needed that, and it needs a venue now. Like Turning Stone, put it in Turning Stone. I'd make another 5-hour drive to Turning Stone to watch that shit. But Times Square was a flop and it was a disgrace. We have two fights. We have two fights in there that get on copy box for least amount of punches thrown in a 12-round fight, which is like horrendous.